I still remember the moment my chest tightened and my hands shook as I stared at the email notification from my bank. Transaction approved, luxury boutique, $1,482.75. My jaw nearly dropped to the floor. I hadn't been anywhere near that store. My husband, Patrick, was at work. And then, like a slap across the face, the truth hit me. My mother-in-law, Lorraine, had borrowed my card the week before just for gas. My heart pounded, half in anger, half in disbelief. She didn't just steal from me, she flaunted it. Designer handbags, jewelry, perfumes, all for herself. And the worst part? She smiled in my face every Sunday dinner, like nothing had happened. That was the night I whispered to myself, enough. She's going to regret underestimating me. Tell me honestly, what would you do if your own mother-in-law secretly used your credit card to spoil herself with luxury gifts? Would you confront her immediately, or plan something bigger? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to subscribe. Before all this chaos, my life was ordinary. I worked as a freelance graphic designer, mostly from home, balancing projects with quiet mornings spent on coffee and playlists. My husband, Patrick, was the steady one, a numbers guy, quiet, thoughtful, always making sure bills were paid on time and the fridge was stocked. We'd been married 3 years, still figuring out our rhythm, still holding on to the belief that marriage was about teamwork. And then there was Lorraine, Patrick's mother. From the moment we met, she treated me like I had stolen something from her. She smiled tightly when others were around, but alone she'd pick at me. Are you sure you can handle Patrick's lifestyle? He deserves the best. Her words stung, but Patrick always dismissed them as mom just being mom. At first, I tried to believe it. I let her constant comments slide. I ignored her intrusive questions about our finances, and I even handed her my card one day when she claimed she left her wallet at home and needed gas money. I thought it was harmless, a small favor to keep peace. But when the bills started stacking up with strange charges, I knew peace was the last thing she wanted. The moment I walked into her living room and saw her parading a brand new handbag, identical to the one listed on my bank statement, my stomach twisted. She didn't even hide it. She grinned and said, "Finally, I can treat myself the way I deserve." That was the exact moment I realized Lorraine wasn't just difficult. She was a thief in pearls. When I first discovered what Lorraine had done, it wasn't just about the money. It was about the betrayal. Family is supposed to be a safe place, a circle of trust, and yet here she was, someone who hugged me at dinners, called me sweetheart, and then secretly drained me behind my back. I tried to talk to Patrick about it one night, sliding the bank statement across the table. He scanned it, eyebrows furrowed. "Babe, are you sure this was mom? Maybe there's been a mistake," he asked gently.
A mistake.
The word burned, because deep down, I knew his loyalty to his mother would always blur his judgment. I felt cornered. If I pushed too hard, I risked Patrick seeing me as the villain, the wife picking fights with his mom. If I stayed quiet, I'd keep being Lorraine's silent wallet. My chest ached with frustration. I cried more in those weeks than I'd like to admit, sometimes muffling my sobs with a pillow just so Patrick wouldn't hear. Every time I saw Lorraine flaunting her new possessions, diamond earrings glittering at church, designer perfume heavy in the air, it was like salt rubbed in my wounds. She was bold, smug, even daring enough to wink at me across the dinner table, as if she knew I wouldn't dare expose her. But the humiliation wasn't just personal. My credit score took a hit. Bills I hadn't budgeted for showed up, leaving me scrambling to shuffle money between accounts. Clients noticed I was distracted. Friends noticed I seemed tired. And yet, Lorraine walked around untouched, untouchable, protected by her role as the mother-in-law. I felt broken. But inside that brokenness, a fire slowly began to spark. I told myself, if no one else will stand up for me, then I'll stand up for myself. Lorraine thought she had me under control. She thought I was too soft, too afraid to cause waves. She was about to learn how wrong she was. I started watching Lorraine more carefully, pretending to smile at her jokes, nodding along when she bragged about her amazing finds. But in the back of my mind, Gears were already turning. I kept every receipt, every bank notification, and even started a separate folder on my laptop labeled Lorraine's Luxury Life. At first, it felt sneaky, almost wrong, like I was stooping to her level. But the more I documented, the stronger I felt. Each screenshot, each printed statement wasn't just evidence, it was ammunition. I didn't let Patrick know what I was doing. I stopped arguing with him about it altogether. That was my greatest weapon: silence. Lorraine thought I had given up. She thought she had broken me into submission. But in reality, I was studying her habits, tracking her purchases, and quietly preparing the moment I'd flip her world upside down. And when the right opportunity came, she would never see it coming. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. Lorraine loved showing off, and when her church announced a charity auction, she practically glowed. "I'll be donating something fabulous," she bragged over dinner, twirling her diamond earrings. That was my moment. A week later, the auction hall buzzed with chatter, and Lorraine strutted in like royalty, carrying a glossy handbag, the very same one she had charged to my card. Cameras flashed as the local newspaper covered the event. I slipped quietly into the crowd, heart racing, folder in hand. When the auctioneer lifted Lorraine's donation for display, I stood up. "Excuse me," I said, my voice clear, steady. "Before you bid, you should know that handbag was purchased fraudulently, with my credit card." The room went silent. Gasps rippled through the audience. Lorraine's smile froze, her face draining of color. I walked to the front, opening my folder. Receipts, bank statements, screenshots. Every detail lined up perfectly. The auctioneer looked stunned. The church officials whispered frantically. People began murmuring, some glaring at Lorraine, others whispering words like thief and shameful. "Is this some kind of joke?" Lorraine hissed, her voice shaking. I met her eyes. "No joke. Just the truth you thought you could bury." For the first time, Lorraine looked small, humiliated, stripped of the power she had paraded around so easily. She rushed out of the hall in tears, her carefully built image shattered in front of everyone she desperately wanted to impress. And me? I finally exhaled, a heavy weight lifting off my chest. Justice wasn't always served in a courtroom. Sometimes, it was served in whispers, in shocked stares, and in the collapse of someone's pride. After that night, I couldn't stop replaying the look on Lorraine's face. It wasn't just satisfaction I felt, it was clarity. For weeks, I had cried, questioned myself, even doubted whether speaking up would make me seem petty. But the truth was, silence would have only given her more power. Revenge, I realized, isn't always about destroying someone. Sometimes, it's about reclaiming your own dignity. Lorraine had treated me like a doormat, assuming I'd stay quiet to keep the peace. She thought being family meant she could get away with anything. What she didn't realize was that family doesn't excuse betrayal. The whispers I heard at that auction hall weren't just gossip, they were validation. People saw her for who she truly was. And for the first time, I didn't feel like the outsider in Patrick's family story. I felt like a woman who had finally taken control. Did it fix everything? No. Lorraine still tried to play the victim in private, but the mask was gone. Her friends knew, the community knew, and most importantly, I knew my worth wasn't tied to her approval. The lesson was sharp but simple. Boundaries aren't cruelty, they're survival. And if someone crosses them, even if they're family, you have every right to protect yourself. Life after that confrontation changed in quiet but powerful ways. I tightened my finances, set up stronger protections on my accounts, and learned to never hand over trust as carelessly as I once had. The small details, changing passwords, getting alerts for every purchase, gave me a sense of control I didn't realize I had lost. Patrick, at first, was torn. Seeing his mother embarrassed so publicly shook him, but as the evidence settled in, even he couldn't deny the truth. For the first time, he stopped asking me to just let it go. Instead, he apologized for not believing me sooner. That apology meant more than he realized. It was the first brick laid in rebuilding our trust. Lorraine, on the other hand, grew quieter. She avoided me at gatherings, her eyes darting away whenever I walked in. She still carried herself with pride, but the sharp edge of superiority was gone. She knew I wasn't afraid anymore, and that was enough. I found myself smiling more, sleeping better, and creating again in my work. My designs felt lighter, freer, as though reclaiming my self-respect had somehow untangled my creativity. 2. I wasn't just a wife trying to fit into a family anymore. I was a woman who had drawn a line in the sand and stood firm when someone tried to cross it. And that, to me, was worth every second of the fight. Looking back, I've realized something important. Revenge isn't always about hurting the other person. It's about finding yourself again. I didn't ruin Lorraine's life. I simply held up a mirror and let her face the truth she tried to hide. And in that moment, I found my own strength, the voice I'd been silencing for far too long. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop accepting disrespect, no matter who it comes from. Family or not, everyone deserves boundaries. So tell me, if your mother-in-law did this to you, would you confront her or stay quiet? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like mine.